Welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are having a great day. So today we want to talk about Coinfluence has recently pushed up their ICO or their launch date rather to May 4th of 2020, right? So that's a long time from now. You're talking almost several months here, all right? Um, from the original date, I think that was here in November. And the reason that's happened, it would seem from their communications, is that I'm assuming that the funds that they were raising, they weren't hitting their goals, and ICOs. When the first phases of cryptocurrency or the first wave of cryptocurrency, I guess I'm maybe talking about before 2017 or something like that. Um, that was a period of time where we were on this ICO craze, right? And there was failed project after failed project, scam after scam. And what I believe happened is it made it very difficult for ICOs to be successful in cryptocurrency, right? The ICOs were cash grabs in the very beginning. And anybody who launched almost anything were probably becoming millionaires overnight with these projects. And then, of course, the projects wouldn't, live up to, what they were supposed to, and people would lose a lot of money, and these things would drop below the ICO price, right? Put a real bad taste in people's mouths about ICOs. And after that, any company or project that launched the ICO was probably first viewed through the eyes of great potential for a scam, right? And it just always it made things negative. It also turned me against ICOs. Even in my own project like Bitcoin MYK, I said I'm never going to do one of these things because never do an ICO because ICOs they look like scams from the beginning. I think one of the best approaches is probably doing something like if you can put together a development team. And whereas I don't like dealing with venture capitalists, if if it's necessary, you're probably best to go through a venture capitalist than to go through. Uh, my view is go through crowdfunding, right? And I know that part of the purpose is to change it to make this so that more people can participate. And then these big institutional investors and the like don't control all of these great projects. So I get that and I understand that. But I think that these projects can be launched and done without the necessity of ICOs, right? I think creating these DAOs can exist in a sense where the mechanism can exist, like with many other cryptocurrency projects, where people can just come in. So whereas I very much like Coinfluence's approach from the beginning. I never felt it was unique what they were doing. Many blockchains and projects have these DAOs or what they call decentralized autonomous organizations, so to speak. So not only do they have them, but uh, um, some have been quite successful at it, launched on Ethereum, and they have a big jump on projects like what we can see in Coinfluence. So launching these things, are very important. I think, on a timely basis, right? So pushing it up, whereas I understand, why they probably need to do it because they need the funding to fund these what they believe will be good projects, which is kind of a problem because what it seems to be suggested to me is that, oh, I'm sorry, or the people will get the vote on the project. So that part it makes sense. But I do just feel like they could create this mechanism and do it anyway without and then the funds be distributed at that point, when the projects are presented, right? As opposed to them just being one kind of hub for it. And so there are things I like about it. Like I like how they're funding or rather I like how the ICO phases were done because what it means is that at certain levels, they're only gonna sell on the market at certain prices, right? And what's that going to do is it gives it a greater chance for the investors, the early stage investors, or no matter what stage you're at, to get a certain amount of returns, right? So, in other words, what Coinfluence was, it was kind of like what was that project that did this first? Several have done it so far, but when they launch, they're going to, at these different phases, put the cryptocurrencies on the market. Here it is, right here. It is explained where they already raised over $1 million. That's another thing. I would think that raising over $1 million, they were saying something like they want to give each project $100,000 to get started. Well, here's the thing. I believe that with the funds raised, what they could have done is put it in certain phases where certain projects could be launching, and uh, we could get to see this play out to a certain degree and how successful it's going to be, and then that would encourage more people to get in, and then they can have phases to the ICOs where they're going to the next phase, whilst using the funds available to build up the Coinfluence project. And this is similar to Pi Network, right? What Pi Network did was a little bit different. What Pi Network, but some of the things are very similar. All these projects are similar, and they share something in common. Coinfluence, Pi Network, and our project Bitcoin MYK. They're just, their approaches are a little bit different, but the idea is generally the same. So a Pi Network, they didn't raise funds from the community like in that fashion. They went traditional means, and I believe as it came out like Silicon Valley, they raised about $500,000 to get started, right? Um, from whether it was a venture capitalist or some private investors. They were then able to, as many of you know, create something like 20 plus million wallets, right? And they want to launch at 100 million, right? So they want to be mega big. Now, where they're smart in doing this is by doing it this way, building up the value of the project before trading starts. That way, you don't see all these initial early dumps of people speculators trying to make a quick profit and get out. Right? That's generally what happens, and that's why oftentimes projects don't want to do it that way. It was a tough call for our project, Bitcoin MYK. I still think there are some mistakes we made and go ahead and start trading, right? But I thought that it was important that not only our project be transparent, but throughout all the phases, let the market decide the value of the project and not us. So by collecting all these funds early on, putting it in the project, excuse me, yes, it does fund these projects, but it also can create an opportunity for certain projects to kind of prop up their prices. I'm not saying Coinfluence is doing that or that Pi Network will do that, but it can create that. And so I think that could be a problem, right? I also think if you're creating a project of value at this stage in cryptocurrency with all the technology and development, you should bring something of value to the table. You should bring some type of, already created project, right? Many developers create these projects and bring them to the market, and they do it on their own dime, or they do it, with their own genius, right? And the same thing with Bitcoin MYK. We created our project. We didn't raise money to create it. We created ourselves, and then we brought it to the market. Now we're letting the market determine the value of it. Now, Pi Network, kind of on a similar path. They um, um, have this working model through their phone app, right? And where ads are being shown to these 20 million plus, active users, supposedly anyway. And in that, they're getting value and money from, right, the ads and stuff, right? So now they can turn around and take that money and support the project without an ICO. That's very similar to Bitcoin MYK. Bitcoin MYK uses a social network app to bring funds in to support the value of its project. Now, where I think Coinfluence is made some issues here is they might need to get the development teams on board first, right? Also, what was met with some skepticism is if you look at like these, these celebrities supposedly are, part of their project. Only evidence we've seen of one was Rich the Kid, and later it was some kind of dispute where he wasn't on board. So it's caused some people I've spoken to in cryptocurrency to question the validity of these partnerships. Is it just a way for them to get people to invest in the project? And overall, I think Coinfluence is probably an honest project. I don't think it's necessarily dishonest in that sense, but I do think that the project needs to understand that it's not bringing a great deal of uniqueness to cryptocurrency. And I'm not saying that there needs to be a certain limit to these type projects, but there are projects who are not only have done this, but they are, have had a certain amount of good success with it, and are moving money over exchanges now, right? And so I kind of feel like the Coinfluence project, whereas I like these type projects, and I especially like the participation of everybody through affiliate marketing. I think that creates a more participatory economy and and things like that. And I think that can be quite helpful. I just don't, feel there's anything unique about it. And by pushing the lunch dates up, I don't know if that's helping them um, a great degree. I could be wrong, but it's something that's kind of, making me a little bit uneasy about that. Again, I do like the model of how they're, doing the ICO, doing it phases that way. And I'll explain a little bit why I like this model is because what generally happens is in these ICO based projects, people buy in at a certain price and they can spend a lot of money. And then what happens when the project goes to the exchange? People start dumping it. Now all of the early stage investors, the value of their investments could be down 90% of what they paid for it, right? Overnight. And that's happened several times before with many projects. And it's not a good situation to be in. But but again, Pi Network did it different, and Pi Network's not trading yet. It's still raising money, but not from the public. They are creating value from a working model, right? And that's that ad network. Let's take a look at Bitcoin MYK.